2 million rupiah fine for throwing trash around Legian Beach, and President Jokowi says no medical bill in Indonesia. Stay tuned for details. Selamat siang. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. This is January 27th, 2024, and my name is Bruce. What is the weather like today? Well, it is definitely the rainy season. It has rained every day for the past week, and some pretty intense rain. And yesterday, I got caught in the rain when I was coming back from the doctor's. It started pouring. Now, the ride on the motorbike from the doctor's office to my house is 4 minutes, but by the time we got home, me, my wife, and my granddaughter were completely soaked. So, a lot of rain, and that's good news. What is the temperature today? Well, it is 31.1 degrees Celsius, a little cooler than the last few days, and 70% humidity. Wind speed is 14.4 kilometers per hour in Kampung Bugis. And right now it is partly cloudy and, well, windy, and we actually have waves now in the sea in front of the house, and a couple of the neighborhood boys were out trying to surf this week. And, well, because we have some waves, actual waves, we don't usually get waves here, and, well, they got up a couple of times, but the waves just broke so quickly they didn't get to go anywhere. There are a lot of stories this week about crime. Expat on expat, expat on Indonesian, Indonesian on Indonesian. These are all stories that have gone viral over the last 4 or 5 days. And so we'll talk about that. And there are a lot of other stories, but just not going to be able to fit them in. Maybe I'll do another one in a day or two. But I'll get to that in the second story. So first story, firm fine of Indonesian rupiah 2 million for those who throw rubbish carelessly around Legian Beach. Wow. The Instagram account, Pantai Legian, 1 day ago uploaded an announcement about the prohibition of throwing rubbish around Legian Beach. Uploaded photos of the banner installation process, and the banners that have been installed are captioned, "Impression, an appeal against throwing rubbish has been put up by the Legian Traditional Village Beach Management at one corner of Legian Beach. This is being implemented so that no one throws rubbish carelessly." Confirming the banner, calling for a ban on littering, the chairman of the Legian Beach Management, Imade Agus Susila Dharma, confirmed this. He said, "We made this ban because of the position where people throw rubbish on the sidewalk or on the pedestrian walks along Jalan Pantai Legian. Then, now it's the west wind season where the rubbish shipments are starting to arrive," he said. What means coming in on the beach, right? He added that the banners were put up as an effort to reduce our burden as beach administrators because there's already a lot of rubbish on the beach. Don't add to it by putting rubbish on the sidewalk. According to him, before the banners were put up, warning against littering and fines were imposed, traders and tourists were already quite orderly. Good. However, at several points, we still find people throwing rubbish carelessly. So, the banners are put up and we will take firm action against violators by imposing fines. And violators caught throwing rubbish carelessly around the beach area will be subject to a fine of 2 million rupiah. The fine money will go into the village treasury, which is managed by the Legian Traditional Village. Regarding the nominal value of 2 million rupiahs, there is already a regulation from the village. This is a village rule. The fine money will later be put into the traditional village treasury so that the village will process it directly. In addition to that, Susila said he hopes that traders will start sorting the types of waste that will be thrown away and throw it into the rubbish bins that have been prepared. He said he hopes that people do this so that in the future we won't throw mixed waste into the Suwung landfill. And so, 2 questions about that. One, is this just something that's been said and is not going to be followed up on? That wouldn't be unusual. Or, if it is followed up on, is it going to have any effect? Well, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Imagine if people are fined, that there will be some news reports. So I'll be looking for that in the coming weeks. And the second main story, Jokowi says no medical bill in Indonesia. What? No medical bill in Indonesia? Well, he's talking about BPJS. The president stated that citizens in Indonesia do not need to pay a medical bill when they visit a hospital. He said this is because 95% of the population, or 267 million people, have the National Health Insurance Program BPJS Kesehatan, and the state covered the fee for 96 million people through the state budget. There's no country in the world as big as Indonesia where people can go to a hospital for free, the president said. He called for improvements in health services and facilities, including shortening queuing times for patients and upgrading health equipment such as ultrasound machines at the community health centers. The president highlighted the problem of space availability in hospitals. He said the important thing is for people to stay healthy, and he hopes that people will be using their card and staying fit. And I've been using my BPJS card this last week and a half. I've been to the hospital 3 times already for a disease I didn't know I had. And what have I paid so far? 0. So 2 consultations with doctors and 1 visit to the lab with a bunch of tests. And I'm back again on Monday for more consultations and, well, some directions on what I need to do going forward to manage my disease. Well, that's not good news, but yeah, I'm still around. And thank goodness for BPJS. And as I've said earlier, last year I had my cataract surgery done. Everything was free there, including all the medicine, coming in once a week in between the operations. I had to have 2 operations, 1 for each eye, and then the medication and follow-up visits every week after that, and then free glasses. These cost 400,000 rupiahs, which was just what the government covers for your glasses after cataract surgery. So if you have a KITAP or a KITAS and you don't have BPJS, you can apply for it and get it. And if you work, of course, it should come with working, but if you don't work, you'll have to pay for it, and the fee is nominal. Let's go on to some tourist information. Bali targets 1.5 million Chinese tourists in 2024. Indonesia's Minister for Tourism and Creative Economy, Pak Sandiaga Uno, is targeting 1.5 million tourists from China to visit Bali in 2024. The new target represents an increase of 707,000 Chinese visitors over the number last year. The regional marketing director for the tourism ministry said the Chinese travelers coming to Bali will travel to and from Bali on 13 airlines now flying between the mainland China and Bali. He said, we currently have a seat capacity of 1.1 million, and we will be pushing for this to get up to 1.5 million. He said the Chinese government claims 40 million PRC citizens will travel abroad on holiday in 2024. This is substantially more than the 10 million who undertook foreign travel in 2023. While mentioning that the tourism ministry remains committed to attracting quality tourists, Vishnu said Indonesia wants tourists with high spending levels and extended lengths of stay, right? The quality tourist. He stated that Chinese tourists now stay an average of 5 to 7 days. He pointed out that Chinese travelers have 4 peak travel seasons during the year when they go to foreign destinations. He added that 65% of Chinese who travel to Bali are millennials, and the remaining are people aged 40 and above. He said Chinese tourists characteristically visit attractions offering unique travel and cultural experiences, with Chinese visitors preferring locations that are Instagrammable and suitable for selfie photography. The tourism ministry official said that PRC government is urging the citizens to undertake domestic holidays as the pandemic ends. He said there is an effort by the PRC first to restore domestic travel, and that market is large, and then to focus on international travel. As the PRC market recovers, Chinese visitors constituted 5.4% of all foreign visitors to Bali in December 2023. The Chinese airline Juneyao operated its first flight from Shanghai to Denpasar this past Saturday on the 20th, flying an Airbus A320 designated as HQ 1355, and it carried 164 passengers. The airline now operates to Bali daily. The Chinese airline plans to replace the Airbus A320 with a larger Boeing 787 Dreamliner capable of carrying 360 to 400 passengers to serve the growing number of people coming to Bali that are expected. The general manager of the airport noted that the airline represents the 38th airline operating international flights to Bali's international airport. And on to crime. First one, shooting of Turkish foreigner in Bali. Police hunt for 3 perpetrators. This has really gone viral. This is all over the Indonesian press. Bali police and Badung police are hunting for 3 foreign nationals from Turkey who are suspected of shooting another foreigner from Turkey in a villa in Mengwi district. That was this past Tuesday. Based on the crime scene, it's estimated that there were 3 people. Police suspect that the victim was shot 5 times. This was proven by injuries on the victim's body, namely 2 gunshot wounds to the left arm, a wound to the chest, and 2 to the stomach. Wow. Meanwhile, the victim is currently undergoing intensive treatment at the hospital in Denpasar. The police have now visited the crime scene and are collecting evidence as well as statements from witnesses and perpetrators. The investigation is still in progress, and we've also coordinated with immigration authorities. So, unfortunate, and we'll see what happens here. Follow up on this, because this is everywhere. This is on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, Facebook, the local newspapers. A lot of coverage of this. And another crime story, and this time an American is involved. U.S. tourist molester villa employees arrested in Nusa. Crime Investigation Unit head beaten. Joint officers from the Gianyar Police Criminal Investigation Unit and the Sukawati Police Criminal Investigation Unit succeeded in apprehending foreign national, an American, who was a perpetrator of an assault on an employee at a villa in the Sukawati district in Gianyar Regency. The perp was successfully arrested by the police at a hotel in Nusa. According to information gathered, the beating allegedly occurred when the villa employee wanted to confirm the whereabouts of a motorbike that was borrowed by the perpetrator. Because previously the perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator, borrowed a motorbike but came back to the villa without a motorbike. The perpetrator, who rented the motorbike, came back to the villa in an online taxi. Then suddenly the foreigner went berserk and threw punches at the victim and knocked some teeth out, apparently, and the perpetrator fled on foot and left the villa, including several bags. And there are so many stories on this, as I said. Let's get a little deeper into this. One of the perps had an accident while riding a motorbike rented from the villa. The perpetrator's friend was then taken to the hospital in Denpasar. On Wednesday afternoon, the perp and his female colleague came to the villa using an online taxi. Upon arrival at the villa, the perpetrator took the belongings of his colleague who'd been in the accident and put them in the car. Then the victim came to the perpetrator and asked about the condition and whereabouts of the motorbike belonging to the villa. Because he was taking the belongings of the friend who had the accident, the villa asked him not to take them yet because the motorbike had not yet been returned. That's when the perpetrator, without further ado, carried out the beating. This is the reporter's version. The exact chronology is still being worked on. After abusing the victim, the perpetrator immediately ran away with his female friend. The police first went to the hospital where the alleged perpetrator's friend was being treated, but the alleged perpetrator was not there. His colleague, however, was still being treated at the hospital. So this is the story coming from the victim. And they said they were trying to keep him from taking the bags because they hadn't got their motorbike yet. And so they wanted something, some security, so that they would come back and bring the motorbike. Now, in another story, there was just a sentence that said that the alleged perpetrator felt threatened, and that's why he attacked the villa employee. And so this is being worked out here. But the alleged perpetrator, well, he was moving around. He went from one place to another trying to avoid the police. When he was eventually caught, He resisted arrest and punched one of the officers before he was subdued and handcuffed and taken to the police station. So, does not look good for him. Not only did he beat up a local guy, he punched a cop. Wow. Now, how is that going to work out? I don't know, but he knocked some teeth out, and the video of this is everywhere. This guy did wail on the victim, and then his girlfriend tried to stop him. He kind of pushed her back and whacked him again, and then they took off. And he is now in custody, and so we'll just have to see what's going to happen here. The alleged perpetrator, 28 years old, and apparently has already met with the consulate official in Denpasar. And more in this case, the former deputy governor made comments regarding the viral case of a foreigner hitting a security guard. The frequent discovery of foreign tourists acting up while on holiday in Bali is a reflection of the degradation of Bali tourism. The DPRRI Inyoman Parta firmly stated that Bali is currently only visited by unethical and moneyless tourists. The chairman of the Indonesian Hotel Restaurant Association and former deputy governor highlighted the quality of tourists who are now vacationing in Bali. He said these problems are occurring due to various factors. The two main factors, he said, are security and intense competition between investors in the tourism sector. In terms of security and comfort, the former deputy governor believes that security in Bali for tourists, especially foreign tourists, is at its highest level, both security from law enforcement and security provided by the surrounding community. These conditions make tourists feel very safe in Bali, he said. However, others take it as the license to do whatever they want. The second factor is investment competition, he said. The Bali tourism business has gone too far. Currently, the growth of tourism accommodation can be seen in almost all regions, even though these areas are not included in the tourism zone. This condition cannot be separated from the lack of involvement of relevant associations in the licensing process. So he's saying there's people involved in the tourism business that aren't really licensed to be in there, and that this is a problem. This condition, he said, gives rise to a price war, which of course has an impact on the quality of tourists who come to Bali. Of course, we want people to come here with money. The concern of the Balinese people towards the quality of tourism is beginning to erode, he said, as a result of the increasing pressure on Balinese people, especially local entrepreneurs, from business competition, as well as the lack of involvement of related associations in the licensing process, as I mentioned. He said these are just a few of the factors. Of course, there are many other more specific causes. In returning the quality of Bali tourism to what it once was, the former deputy governor emphasized that all parties must play a role in maintaining Bali's good name. So a little more on that quality tourist, right? If you're here with money, you're a quality tourist. And if you're not here with money, you're not a quality tourist. Any studies that show that quality tourists behave better than backpackers, let's say, if we're going to generalize and say backpackers are ones that don't have any money. With the rising prices, it's getting a little more expensive for people to get here. But the former deputy governor said we're having some problems here, and it's because of low quality tourists, basically. So far I've covered foreigner on foreigner, the Turks, and foreigner on Indonesian, the American guy who beat up the security guy from the villa and a cop as well. And now locals on locals, and a lot of stuff has been going on around that issue this week. Several people have been killed in attacks by groups of young men, and well, let's see what's happening here. Attacks rampant. Regional security urges to tighten supervision. The Badung Regency government is responding to the increasing number of cases of beatings that have occurred recently, including those that occurred in Sempidi. And the Badung Regional Secretary appealed to the lowest level officials, starting from the head of the environment, the village head, as well as other officials, to carry out supervision in their respected areas so that incidents like this do not happen again. In that case in Mengwi, a young man was killed, and a young man from Bulalang, and a lot of grief around that one. A young guy had a family and was went to Denpasar to work in order to support his family, and, well, some of the perps have said, we just got the wrong person, wrong place, wrong time. The father of the dead victim said, that's not good enough. The secretary expressed his concern about the increasing number of incidents of beatings which have gone viral. He hopes that the police can provide assistance in monitoring. He said, we don't understand that there's now euphoria about being in a gang and having this shown on social media. We don't know what the motive was, how come people quickly made the decision to carry out a beating as if the person had no feelings of humanity. On the other hand, he assessed that the beatings were detrimental not only to the victims, but also had an impact on the image of Badung Regency, which relies on the tourism sector. Therefore, security and comfort are needed. I think secondary issue there. It's very important to create safe and comfortable conditions for tourists to visit. This is the toughest challenge for regions that rely on tourism. Apart from this appeal, the Badung Regency government also plans to intensify surprise inspections for residents, especially who have just come to Badung. Inspections must be carried out on the whereabouts of residents in Badung, so it's clear that there's certainty about who these people are and where they live. If something like this happens again, at least we can quickly trace where the person is. Okay, thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today, stay safe, and I will see you next time.